there and welcome to the shed. It's your man, Andy, man in the shed, Andy P. And here we go. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about WWE Supercard. It was the sponsor of the Elimination Chamber, but it's a multi-player game with a card trading sort of base card with multi-tiers. Played it for about 5 years. Literally just finished playing it. So it's got some basic games. It has a war type game where you have 3 matches against different cards, and if your cards have got the highest overall, then you win, and if they don't, the other team wins. It also had a Royal Rumble and an Elimination Chamber. I'm not really going to talk too much about the multi complexities of the game. If you want to know what I like, go and play it. It's available on Apple stores, Google stores, Android stores, other stores. So I played it for about 5 years. Had a great time playing it. Had a great team. I'm going to talk a little bit about that and a little bit about how it's all started. So let's start at the beginning because that's generally the best place to start any story. So Murray's son Luke, he'd already started playing. I think he started on season 1. Personally, I started towards the end of season 2. And he's like, hey Dad, I want to make a team. I don't have enough players. Why don't you start an account? So I started an account, joined a team, didn't really know what I was doing. The whole purpose of joining a team at that stage was so you could take part in team events. You needed 8 players. 10 players was a full team. You needed a minimum of 8. And there was his cousin Leo, my other son AD. He played for a bit. And we got a few other players from around the world. That's the thing about this game. It's a multi-world game, which was great because you'll find out that in a bit later, we had players from all around the world play it in our team from time to time. Players came and went, but when I started my team, to start with, I was going on other people's teams, and for a few weeks, yeah, it's great. You know, you would play Ring Domination and Road to Glory, and hopefully others would play. And for a few weeks, they did. But then I found that I was the only person playing. You know, I was getting lots of points or shards for, say, Ring Domination, and no other side was playing. And I thought, yeah, that's me done on being on other people's teams. So I left them and I started my own team, and it took a bit of time. Obviously I had Luke, but what I decided was, by this time there was another game called Battleground come in, and that was a game where you had to take on some other cards and charge them up. Problem was, a lot of times on these other teams, people weren't bothering. So I thought, if I get my own team together, I can control that. So I made it so we played on a Monday and a Friday, and that was when we charged. If you didn't like that, okay, go play for someone else then. And that was sort of my view from the beginning. After about a year, Luke had started to not be so bothered. But we had caught up with Joshua, who was in a team called the Lucha Kings. I believe that's what Allgood said. I'll come on to my boy Allgood in a bit. Anyway, so we were catching them up, and they'd sort of run their course because players had left. But, you know, I said to Josh, you know, come and join us for a little bit if you want, pal. So he did. About 4.5 years ago, he came over and he said, oh, I got a few mates from my Lucha King days. I'll see if they want to join. So some bloke called Allgood, wonder what his name is. We'll find out a bit later. And Troy, they came over. And I'm not sure if Ollie was a Lucha King as well. No one can really remember. But he also joined around the same sort of time. If he wasn't part of the Lucha Kings, then we struck gold with Ollie. More on that in a bit. Sorry, just looking at my notes because who doesn't? So, started to really get into the game, and it wasn't long. And the reason why it didn't take too long was because Josh had got to the top tier, and me and Luke had managed to catch up because it didn't take too long because the tiers hadn't gone up for Josh, and we'd managed to pretty much catch up. And then for a couple of years, Josh was always ever so slightly above myself. All Good was normally a little bit above myself. And, it was fun. We were having a right laugh. One of the highlights, and I'm sure Ollie and Josh will agree with me here, was when our old pal All Good would go a little bit nuts. Every now and again from random out of nowhere. And this was a game which it sort of tried to stop you being able to swear. Wow. I hate to think of the language if it hadn't done that. But All Good managed to get around it, and he would absolutely go wild all of a sudden. And sometimes there seemed to be no logic to it from my point of view. But I remember a few people, because I was generally the owner through most of it, and they would be like, hey, he's having a right go at me. Can't you say nothing? Nah, I'm all right. Let him go on about it. If you don't like it, then, there's a million and one other teams. And through the years, there were points when we were struggling to get teammates. Can't think why, All Good. But I was bringing them in, and it seemed as soon as I got them in, All Good was kicking them out again because, I don't know, whatever reason he decided, I don't like that player. He had a tendency of just kicking people out. Sometimes it was just like, mate, what are you doing? Give him a chance. Anyway, his particular favourites were the Americans. I do remember there being one American who threatened to beat him up, which was quite amusing because he lived about 8,000 miles away. But hey, there you go. How scary is that? Okay, you might know what town I live in, and I know that All Good lives somewhere around Sydney in Australia. So it's about 12,000 miles away from me, so even if I didn't like him, I'm not really going to think, oh no, you said something nasty to me on a computer game, I'm going to go all the way to Australia now, and I'm going to attempt to beat you up because you said something about me on a game. Yeah, don't think so. Not for me. But these Americans, they were like a Red Bull or a red flag to a ball. He would literally lay into some of them, and it was hilarious. And, well, the amount of personal mail I got with, oh, he said this or he said that. Who cares? Get over it. So I did stop playing it for a couple of months, and I actually handed over the ownership to Ollie because at the same time Josh had said, yeah, I'm going to sort of give it a rest for a bit. And All Good he's my boy. I love him to bits in the game, but he wasn't going to be someone who was going to be able to hold down the team, I felt. Don't know if that's why the Lucha Kings ended. I don't know because I wasn't part of that. But Ollie was, and still is, because he's still playing. Obviously, we'll get on to that in a bit. But Ollie was the strongest team for 4 years, in my view. He would always, very rarely not, be fully maxed at Battleground. Generally, always at the highest level. And he was a great worker and was consistent on pretty much every game. Can't say the same for myself, Josh, and All Good, but Ollie, for me, was the star player. I am going to also give a shout out and a thanks to a few former mates. So teammates. So we have Troy, who was a Lucha King. Can't remember why he lost. He left. I think he got a bit bored of it. He was going to try and come back, but for some reason the team wasn't allowing him to come back in, but never mind. We also had Sasha Banks and Yuri, who were both very good players. They left a few months ago, both at the same time, to be fair. We also had Matt and Sarah. Matt was a good player. He came over for a few years and then decided, oh, I don't like Allgood. Who knew? And he decided that because we weren't pushing all the time for every reward, he would go somewhere. But to be fair, and no disrespect to them, they were both carer parents, so they had more time than the rest of us to waste on the game. And Jamie, he was with us for a year and a half, and then he just left. Don't really know why. He said it'd be for a week, but didn't ever come back. And Jake, who is now in the same team that Ollie has now gone to, because sadly we've ended the team. You know, it was about 4.5, 5 years. I think it had its day. You know, there was a stage when I somehow managed to get a load of great cards towards the end and got on to WrestleMania, but then I started another job and I'm like, you know what? It's sad but true, but it's got to end. And then that was about a month ago, and then Allgood said, you're the owner again now, mate. You might as well end the team. So I reinstalled the game and finally ended our team. But the memories are there. I hope if you're a part of that team, the memories for you, if you have any, which I haven't mentioned, then please do, give me a comment, say what you liked, what you didn't like. If you didn't like the Monday and Friday thing, then why the hell were you on the team? But hey, I think that structure to the team was good. We're all working, we're all adults on the team. Generally, we didn't really want to have children on there because, let's be fair, there's quite a bit of adult humour going on, especially from my boy Allgood. But mass respects to Josh Allgood, or Bill. That was quite funny actually when I commented to him and he looked at the team and was like, where's Allgood gone? I'm like, oh, he's Bill now. Because it took me about 5 years to figure out that I could actually change my name. So I did. But I could never really find myself again because, I don't know. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Going through a little bit of reminiscing about our times in our team. Do give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I'm only going to send this one to Josh and to Bill because it doesn't really mean anything to anyone else. Hopefully a few other people will view it, enjoy it. If you do, then you do. If you don't, then it doesn't matter. We can have a video just for us guys. Ollie, if you do see it, mass respect to you, my friend. You were the rock in our team and our star performer, and I really mean that. Anyway, like I say, if you haven't already subscribe. I know that 2 of you already have, so anyway, anyone else subscribes and you watch the end of this, there you go. So I did enjoy it. I'm not going to play it anymore, so it is the end. And for Supercard, see you, pals. And to everyone else, good to know you, good to see you. We will keep in contact. All the best in the future. Good health to you all. Stay safe. See you, pals.